Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Journals. Welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to share with you a flip through of my Cairns journal. This is a scrapbook junk journal that I took with me to Cairns. So back in mid-August I went to Cairns for a week with some of my family for a bit of a holiday. And I also brought another scrapbook journal for my nephew because he likes to journal with me, and we plan to, at the end of each day, journal in our scrapbook journals and record what we did each day. So before I get into the flip through though, I am just going to finally decorate the cover. So I love this journal because it's got this craft paper cover, and all of the pages are craft paper as well. And it's a nice beautiful square shapes and blank pages, so really lends itself to adding photos, adding ephemera, and I'll be sharing some different ideas of ephemera you can pick up in your day-to-day travels and that kind of thing, and especially when you go on holidays, some things to look out for that really makes your journal come alive and brings those memories, makes them come alive on the page, so that you have this wonderful keepsake from the trip. It's better than any souvenir that you could buy. Having this journal of memories with your own handwriting and your own mementos and photos of the people you love and everything like that, it just makes it so much more special and meaningful, and I found it very therapeutic and very helpful to have this journal. So yeah, I just wrote the title of the journal on the front, Cairns Journal, and then I decorated it using these metallic Sharpies, I call them. They're not really Sharpies, but I got them from Kmart while I was in Cairns, so I thought that was fitting to use them. Really lovely colours, and I was very happy with how they turned out on this cover. Like, they were very bright, so love how vibrant they are. I would put a sun there because it was like sunny holiday in Queensland. I put a moon there because on the first night there was this beautiful view of the moon and just the beautiful silver shimmery reflection on the ocean. And the photo, of course, on the front cover that I placed in the middle, that is of our ocean view from the house that we stayed at. I guess it's like a holiday house. And then just decorating it with some other images that remind me of the holiday. A love heart because I was with family who I very much love. A smiley face because it was a time of joy and happiness. A flower to represent the beauty, being out in nature and just really surrounded by beautiful nature. Some stars as well to represent the night and enjoying the nights as well, not just the day. A wave to represent that ocean view, and some more stars, just stars everywhere to fill in some of those gaps and to represent beauty and sparkle and shine and all that good stuff. And before I get into a full flip through of this journal, I want to share with you some of my trip. So I did take some video footage throughout the trip, and I'm super excited to add a bit more video, I guess, of my life maybe into my videos, and we'll see how that goes onto my channel. So here is the finished cover. Love how it looks. And here is some video footage. So this is on the way to where we were staying. We didn't actually stay in Cairns. I caught a train to Cairns, but then we stayed in a place called Oak Beach, which is near Port Douglas, so an hour above Cairns, but we just call it the Cairns holiday. On the day after we arrived, we went for a walk along the beach. That was me in my tulle skirt. Then one of the days we went to Barron Falls, and it has this lovely canopy walk, and just showing you what that looks like. It was really lovely. We didn't know what to expect, but it was really beautiful. And then here, this is at the Butterfly House in Kuranda. So lovely. Here is a little fairy garden. They called it the fairy garden. And then one morning, this was probably my biggest highlight from the trip, I woke up early enough to watch the sunrise, and those two chairs that you saw in the photograph on the front cover of this journal, that's where I sat in one of those chairs, and my nephew sat in the other chair, and we watched the sunrise together, and I took a whole lot of photos and a few videos, and here's the sun coming up now above the ocean. So what a stunning view that was. It was amazing. But yeah, I'll be sharing lots of photos as I do a flip through later on. And then another day we went to the wildlife habitat in Port Douglas, and I thought this bird was just having so much fun. It was so peaceful just watching this bird playing in the water. And at this place there's birds and kangaroos. This was another one of my highlights, feeding these kangaroos and patting them. There were so many kangaroos, so when one got sick of eating, others would come down for a feed, and so I fed a lot of kangaroos and patted a lot of kangaroos, and it was just wonderful spending this time feeding these amazing creatures. Look at them. So iconic. Look at this one standing up. Really cool. They're very gentle, very soft fur. Okay, so I'm switching over here to this view so I can share with you a flip through of the journal. And I got this little pendant at the wildlife habitat in their little souvenir shop, and that just attaches to my journal like that. And let's get into this. So yeah, that's where we were sitting to watch that sunset. Really beautiful. Okay, so I have just covered up some of the faces of my family members to protect their privacy, but hopefully you can still see quite a lot of the images. And day one, so each day our plan for my nephew and I, we were going to journal just before dinner, just to reflect on the day, add some photos and different things like that. So give you some ideas of what to include in your journal. So I included my ticket that I printed out. This was my luggage ticket, and my sister gave me some birthday presents while we were there, and one of the things that she got me was this sequin journal notebook, and I kept the packaging from that and just stuck that on the page. And this is another one from another gift. I can't remember, I think this one was from the mini sequin notebook keyring, so I cut that packaging off too. And then yeah, I just wrote about what we did that day, and each day we put a highlight and used some washi tape to mark the day. I always put the date as well. So this was a photo of where we were staying, the ocean view, so you could open up the doors. So it's kind of like the kitchen was here, then the dining room, this whole area was the lounge room, and that whole area where the lounge room was, the doors opened to see that view. And I remember one of my highlights that night when we first got there, because I took a 9-hour train ride to get there, so by the time we got there it was pretty much dinner time. And just before we went to bed, I turned around, and out these doors, the windows, I saw the moon shining on the ocean, and my mum took me down to the water to have a look at it, and I took a photo. And it was just beautiful. I remember, yeah, turning around, and I forgot that we had that ocean view, and I turn around, and all of a sudden I see this moon on the water. I'm like, whoa, that's so beautiful. And just that feeling, that shock and awe of beauty and surprise. I don't know, just captured that moment there. And used some washi tape with the stars there to kind of reflect that night scene. Alright, and then day 2, we went to Port Douglas Market. That's where I got this teal bead bracelet, which I absolutely love as a little souvenir, and where I got my crown, my flower crown, which was my highlight. So I tried to put a photo of my highlight. So of course that's another thing you can include in your journals is photos. And I took photos using a Polaroid type printer on printer paper, and I actually did get this in Cairns too, the Canon selfie with the teal colour, so love that colour. And yes, that was so handy for my nephew and I to be able to print those out while we were on holidays, and then sticker paper could just stick it down, and that was awesome. These are the stones that I bought my nephew because he likes gemstones and crystals and rocks, and we each got a moonstone each, or an opalite, and I kept his and he kept mine. I keep this on my windowsill on my desk, so it can always remind me of that trip, and it always reminds me of my nephew. And yes, if you can't tell, I'm very sentimental. Physical objects mean a lot to me because they remind me of these memories, and they remind me of people, and they remind me of moments that tell my story and shape who I am. So for me, the physical objects, like a journal and like the things I keep in my journal, they really mean a lot to me. I know it doesn't mean a lot to other people, but for me they do. They take me right back there and bring it alive to me and help me to, just see my story on the page or in an object, if that kind of makes sense. So I took a photo of our crystals and his stones, and this is the soap packaging. My mum actually saved it for me, and because she knew I'd probably keep it in my journal. So that was the soap packaging. That's another thing you can keep. I kept the packaging from the crown that I got, the flower crown from the market. So that reminds me of the shop that I went to, Tiara and Crown, sort of like the business cards. You can always include business cards and things. And then food packaging. So I ate this tiramisu one night, and that was at the back of the house. There was that beach view. At the front of the house there's this pool and this lovely eating area under here, and as soon as I walked into the place, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a resort for one family. It was amazing, this place. Oh my goodness, so fortunate and blessed to stay there. And day 3, my mum and I went to Cairns proper, the town, the city, so that we could get do some shopping, because living in a small country town, there's not really any shops, so we made the most of it. I was hoping to get some Lego. It was on my wish list to get a bouquet of flowers, the Lego bouquet of flowers. They didn't have it, but that's okay. My nephew, he loves Lego, so we got him some Lego, and over the course of the week that we stayed there, we built it together, and it was this cool tiger. You'll see that later on. Anyway, my mum bought me some birthday presents while we were there too, some outline markers and texters and things. And this is also where I got the Canon selfie at Officeworks in Cairns. And I had to go out using all of the different what are they called? Outline markers. Oh, and this is the day that we finally started our scrapbook journal, so we kept the packaging and put that in our journals too. Oh my gosh, another highlight from the trip was reading. Oh, I read a whole book there. I brought a book, but I didn't even have to read it because they had a library at this little holiday house, and quite a lot of the books that I'm interested in reading, lots of non-fiction books, that thought-provoking, challenging books, that kind of thing. And one of them was a Malcolm Gladwell book. I love Malcolm Gladwell. I have read quite a few of his books in the past, especially Blink is one of my favourites. And then I started getting into his podcast. Love his podcast, Revisionist History. I've listened to every single episode. And then, so when I saw this book, I was like, oh my gosh, Malcolm Gladwell. I'm going to read that. And I read it, and it was so fun. It was delightful reading each day. Holidays for me are for reading, and it was just so fun. It recaptured my love of reading, and I've taken that back into my daily life now. Every morning when I get up, I read, and I love it. And over lunch I read, and I try to read a bit at night, but no, every morning that's my dedicated time to read. Anyway, day 4. So this day we went to Barron Falls and also Kuranda. Well, I guess Barron Falls is in Kuranda, I'm not quite sure, but Kuranda's like this mountain that you drive up, and there's this town at the top of the mountain, and there's the butterfly house there, the Australian Butterfly Sanctuary, and there was also this beautiful walk to Barron Falls, which you would have seen that video. That's cool that I could kind of take you there with me. And that's a photo of the actual falls. So there was a little bit of water there. You can see, and then it goes into like this lagoon down there. So really cool, beautiful walk. Even the walk by itself was beautiful. A butterfly landed on my head. In fact, lots of butterflies landed on my head, but I only got the chance to take a photo of one of them. And yeah, I wore my flower crown thinking that the butterflies might land on the crown, and they did. A beautiful postcard from the butterfly sanctuary. So other things you can include in your journals. This was from the flyer, like the spotter's guide of butterflies from the sanctuary, and this is a postcard, so definitely picked up some postcards from the trip. And then here, some other ideas to include. We went to a restaurant for lunch in Kuranda, and I asked to keep our receipt, and it was one of those ones that had carbon copy paper, so I actually got one for me and one for my nephew for him to include in his journal. Drawings. You can do your own drawings in your journal or get other people to do drawings. My nephew drew this for me, a palm tree and a pool noodle and a pineapple blow up inflatable thingy, because we went in the pool a few times and we used these like laid on top of the pineapple and that kind of thing. Day 5, this is the day that we watched the sunrise. It was magical, you guys. I don't think I've ever like watched a sunrise just straight sitting there watching it. Like I've seen them, you know, while you're driving to somewhere, on your way somewhere, or just out the window in your home, but never just this close in nature. And it was just really worth it, because I'm not an early person, so I was just grateful that this day I woke up early. And yeah, my nephew gets up early every day, so he was up, and yeah, we went out and watched the sunrise together. That day we also went to Port Douglas again, to a different market. It was much smaller. I didn't get anything at that market, but we got a postcard to put into our journals for that. Some more drawings that my nephew did for me. My brother-in-law, his dad, bought us all controllers, Xbox controllers, custom design, so I could custom design mine. This is my nephew's, that's my brother-in-law's, and I did mine just really simple, aqua with white and a teal turquoise back. And my nephew drew us our moonstone opalites down here, and he wrote me a letter, so that's another idea to put in your journals. Write a letter, get someone else to write you a letter. Another idea, so I love this journal because it's not just pictures and ephemera, it's actual other things in here, like a proper scrapbook journal. And we all put our hands there, so this is my hand, that's my nephew's hand, we all chose a different colour. That's my sister's hand, that's my mum's hand, and they all wrote their name in either a finger or a thumb. So a piece of them come with me in this journal. Gullion chocolates, we ate those. Day 6, we had a day at home this day. We picked some flowers. Another idea, pick some flowers, some leaves from your travels. This is hibiscus, so we went for a walk along the beach and found these. We finished the Lego tiger, so that's us showing off the Lego tiger. On our beach walk we made a tower, a rock tower, and we went in the pool, and that was just so relaxing. Oh my gosh, that was one of my highlights, is just floating in that pineapple with my eyes closed. Just super calming and relaxing. Wow. And my nephew with the pool noodle, and he was like my taxi. If I got into a patch of shade, he would taxi me over into a patch of sunlight. And then I did a drawing, so my nephew did a drawing for me, and he wanted me to do a drawing for him. So I got an A4 sheet of paper horizontal and did a sunrise for us both. And literally, I just did the water all the way across and the sand, and then the sunrise, I did one over here, and then I cut it in half. Never done that before, but it worked really effectively. So one for him and one for me. And always sign and date your work, by the way, guys. And then this has my sister's handwriting and my nephew's handwriting on here, as they used the different pens and textures that I got from Cairns. So nice having different people's handwriting of my family members. And then here, day 7, this is when we went to the wildlife habitat. Feathers, another idea to put into your journal. And this is when we went to lunch at the wildlife habitat. The little tray that they gave us came with the paper underneath, and I kept the paper to put in the journal. Packaging from that pendant, and these are cut out from the pamphlet that you were given as well for walking around the wildlife habitat. Photo of me feeding kangaroos. And other ideas, put maps in your journals. So this is a map of the wildlife habitat. we got 2, and so we cut them in half so that my nephew could have the other halves. So that's really fun. They didn't have postcards at the shop there, but they did have cards. So I got one. Kingfish is one of my favourite birds because of the blue, of course. Just packaging again, and I made sure to include like the name of the place and the address of the places that I went to, and just a reminder of feeding those kangaroos. It was so amazing. My nephew, sister and mum, they went over to watch the crocodile show, and I stayed with the kangaroos, and it was amazing because everyone just went to the crocodile show. So at first lots of people were feeding kangaroos, and then the crocodile show started and everyone went over there. So I had like this magical half hour where I was by myself surrounded by these kangaroos, just feeding them and patting them, and that was one of my highlights. It was just like I was in the land of kangaroos. It was amazing. And then we got this envelope that came with this card. So another idea to put envelopes in your journal, and you get this interactive pocket. So I just put some random leftover things, the Kuranda map and Kuranda admission prices and things like that. We had chocolate mousses one night, and this is from the train. You had to wear masks on the train, and they came with a pack with a mask and a wipe. So I just included it, little things you can pick up, reminders of the train journey. Day 8. So this day we just stayed at home as well, and my nephew and sister went to the airport, so they flew home a day earlier than I did. They live in Melbourne, so we dropped them off and just spent a lovely morning reading, and they swam in the pool and I read by the pool. And then that night my mum and I watched a movie, The New Little Women, which I love. I really enjoyed the old Little Women movie, and I saw that at the cinemas with my mum. So I thought, let's watch the new one together, and we both had a Mars bar. So that reminds me of that. So simple packaging. It's not just packaging. You might be like, why are you putting like a Mars bar wrapper in there? It reminds me of that memory of watching Little Women with my mum, and how that connected us when we were kids and all that kind of stuff. So just that memory. And my nephew loves deer. His name, I believe, means friend of deer. So that's his favourite animal, and so I brought a few deer items with me that he could take home with him and use in his scrapbook journal. So this just reminds me of him with the deer. And they all come from your creative studio. There was a deer themed month. My sister wrote us each a letter in our journals, and she drew a palm tree and water for me. And my sister is so good with words, and she always used to do that when I was a kid growing up. I've still got them, little letters that she's written to me, and here's just another one, and I feel like I need to scan that, photocopy that, and put that on my wall, a copy on my wall, even frame it. Isn't that beautiful? Something simple like that even inspires me to just do something simple, one sentence, and send those out. Little art notes or art letters. And then just still documenting this last day by the pool. And I finished that book, What the Dog Saw, by Malcolm Gladwell. Excellent read. And then I started a new book, The Art of Belonging, and I actually took it home because my mum said that at places like that it's okay to do that, to take books home, and that people bring books and leave them there, and people take books and just rotate the library. It's like, that's so cool, I love that. So I took this book home with me because I didn't finish it while I was there. Read it on the train, read it while I was back home, and that actually helped with the transition. When you come back from holiday to normal life, it can be a bit hard, and having this book to read each day helped me just take a bit of Cairns home with me. And I've now finished that book, and it was called The Art of Belonging. I'm going to start some book journal videos later on, sort of like a booktube of my channel, because I've just been so in love with reading at the moment, and I've always been in love with reading, but I want to talk a bit more about books, and I'm starting a reading journal, which I'm so excited about. So I'll talk more about these books and what I got out of them later on. But just magical, reading, sitting in front of that pool. That colour is amazing. And then the last day, day 9, took one last photo. I had to leave really early in the morning to catch the train. So it was this silvery view of the ocean outside those windows. So my last view before I left, that's the photo that I took. And the map of Cairns, I just picked that up at the train station, and that's where the train station is. And I kept receipts. That's another thing you can keep in your journal, is receipts from things that you buy. This was a bookmark that I used in the Malcolm Gladwell book. It was just tucked in. Oh, actually this receipt was tucked into The Art of Belonging, and it says that it was bought in 2014 in Melbourne on Collins Street. So yeah, I thought that was funny. That was the packaging from the mask on the train. So I don't know, it just brings the trip alive for me. And here, my ticket on the way back, my luggage tickets, my luggage ticket on the way to Cairns, my luggage ticket on the way back. And that's just a photo of the entrance to our holiday house, a photo of where we stayed. Here's Oak Beach here, here's Port Douglas, and here's Cairns in the airport there. And then a photo of Keanu welcoming me back. I wasn't sure if he would punish me for being away, because he has done that in the past, but this time no. When I came home, he meowed and gave me lots of kisses and followed me and took a photo of him giving me a kiss. So that's so nice to come home to. Two things that helped me adjust to normal life and helped me with the pain of saying goodbye was Keanu and journaling. So when I got back home, I finished off my journal. Like, I did all these pages when I got home, this page and this page. That was so good for my soul, because you know, you're just like crying that you have to leave and say goodbye to family and all that stuff, and you want the holiday to last forever, and then you're like, what do I do with myself? I know I find it really hard leaving holidays and things, and this journal was just the best thing for me to help me adjust and transition. And yeah, and for as long as I needed, I just kept journaling in it. And I had other journals as well that I just kept journaling about my thoughts and feelings about Cairns until I felt like I had adjusted. So that's another reason to keep a journal, not just to keep a reminder of your trip, but to, I don't know, just to help with that therapy. For me, having this journal as a keepsake from the trip helps me so much to know that I can take it with me and all those memories are documented. But also it helps with that transition. So it's therapeutic in two ways. And then my last page, just the details. I should have done this at the start of the journal, but just the dates that I went away, the name of the place we went to, and this is some more packaging from my sister. One of the birthday presents she got me was of some silver leaf fairy lights that I put up when I got home too, so that was really helpful. I printed out photos when I got home and put up those fairy lights, and that helped me feel like I was taking a bit of Cairns with me into the rest of my life. And just some extra photos at the back. So there were lots more pages. I ripped those out, as you can see here, and I'll use those in other journals as pages, because it did get a little bit chunky with all that in, but now it's at a reasonable size. That's my journal, you guys. It was so helpful. Yeah, I guess what I wanted to just share with you is, or encourage you, is to keep journals, especially if you're going on holidays or a trip or traveling, or doing anything significant, or just your daily life. Just journal, because it's so therapeutic and so helpful to have your memories recorded, and a keepsake of life. And for me, it's been super helpful, and if it's going to help anyone else, I want to encourage you to journal. I have art journals, I have just straight writing journals, I have scrapbook journals, I've got junk journals. So whatever journals are so accommodating. There's a journal for everyone, there's a style for everyone, and I'm a huge journaler. I have a style for everything. And whatever suits my mood, I will just use whichever journal calls to me at the time. If I just want to write, I write. If I want to put in photos, I put in photos. If I want to paint or draw, I do that in my art journal. If I just want to get messy thoughts out, I can do that too. Like, this is more beautifully presented, but I can do messy stuff too if I want. And I have to process my thoughts about this trip, and just how I want to take this trip into the rest of my life. In my intentional life course that I run, I'm going to be talking about how I'm taking this trip into the rest of my life. So for example, made some changes where I am reading every morning, where I am reading a devotion every morning as well. And at the end of each night, I'm reading the Bible each night. At the moment, I'm going from the shortest books of the Bible to the longest, so that I can read a whole book in one sitting each night. And that's been really fun. I've read so far 2 John, 3 John, Titus, Philemon, and Jude. And I also read Song of Songs. And there's something about reading a book the whole way through that I think is helpful, as opposed to just reading a little piece here and there, or over time. Just getting it in one sitting is really cool. So that's what I've been doing at the moment, and reading more, and wanting to start this reading journal and talk more about books on my channel, incorporate more videos in terms of videos from my life, and incorporating those into videos. That I would love to do that on my channel as well. We'll see how we go. Got to work on my editing skills. But yeah, that's some of the ways that I've been taking this trip into my life, into my everyday life. So yeah, and journaling more as well. So I journaled every single day while I was away, and it's been nice to write down my thoughts again each night. So yeah, so fun. Hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit different, but really hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and maybe it inspires you to keep a journal, or pick up journaling again, and maybe find some different things that you want to add to your journal, some different ideas of what you can put onto your pages to bring them to life. But yeah, hope you're doing really well out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to journal your life, because your stories matter. Bye guys!